Well, from that, we saw all what happened 2 days. They were all in Asabadi Delta State capital for that deliberation, looking at the Constitution over and over again to see if truly they can input and take out as well as fine-tune some areas in the Nigeria's Constitution. We'll have a special report, and that will set the pace for us in our next talk.
Nigeria has also amended its original constitution.
The Civic Center in Asaba, the Delta State capital, played host to the 48-member Senate Committee on the review of the 1999 Constitution and other stakeholders in the polity, including the Senate President David Mark, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, the host Governor Emmanuel Iluhaha, and his River State counterpart, as well as speakers of the 36 state houses of assembly. Senate President David Mark was first to take the rostrum, declaring the meeting open.
The Constitution is for all Nigerians and not for senators alone. It is therefore the synthesis of the true will of the Nigerian people that will be reflected in the Constitution. But what we will not allow is for a vocal minority to foist its dictates on Nigerians. The Senate will resist any such attempt. We will certainly not permit the thunder of a fraction to drown the voice of the nation. This task will not be an easy one, but it is also not an impossible task. I wish, however, to remind Nigerians that constitutional amendment alone, without attitudinal change on the part of every citizen, cannot guarantee democracy. Nor will constitutional amendment alone banish terrorism and insurgency, stop corruption, kidnapping, or the orgy of violence presently ravaging our corporate existence.
Presenting a list of items identified as critical, the chairman of the committee and Deputy Senate President said the retreat is meant to provide an opportunity for the lawmakers to examine various areas in the Constitution requiring amendment.
It is expressed that the legislative list in our Constitution is skewed in favor of the federal government and needs to be revisited to give our Constitution a true federal character. The issue of local government creation, the place of local government in our federal arrangement, the functions and powers of local governments are yet to be settled.
For the two governors present, the need to address the issue of true federalism and equitable resource distribution among the three tiers of government is paramount.
Who are the federating units? What am I to this country? What is River State to this country? How are the revenues shared? Who generates revenue? The revenues of the country. These are critical questions. Why should the federal government have 52.8% when development takes place in the different states? How is that 52.8% shared? Will River State or Akwa Ibom or Sokoto get the same share as every other state? We want to know, what are the projects that are being done? Are they equitably distributed in the different states of this country? We want all those questions to be answered. We want to know from this National Assembly, because it's your responsibility to amend this Constitution. Nigerians are frustrated by what those of us in government, are doing. That's why they're discussing immunity clause. If not, that's not an issue.
We are restrained by the overbearing unitary provisions of the Constitution, which cripples substantially the spirit and letters of federalism upon which this nation was built. It is our view that the Constitution needs a radical review in order to enthrone one true federalism.
Bringing his knowledge in political science to bear, the guest speaker advocated a single channel for executive office holders in order to make political offices more competitive and people-oriented.
One of the greatest problems now in Nigeria is Tazariche mania, the psychology of self-succession. I therefore recommend a single 5-year term for all chief executives at each tier of government. Clearly, any leader who cannot deliver promises he is made in 5 years is inept. A single tenure chief executive produces less political acrimony, more time to concentrate on service delivery, less forms of democratic deficit, less pressure on public treasury, and greater political stability.
Please let's keep clapping for Professor Isawa Elaigu.
At the end of the 4-day session, the lawmakers are expected to come up with contributions that are meaningful to the quest for the amendment of the Constitution in line with the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians and the development of the country.
There are demands to carry out this exercise.
Well, now for us to look at that, joining us here in the studios is Eziala Chukuma, the former Secretary, Human Rights Committee, NBA Lagos. Good morning. And we also have with us in our Abuja studios joining us is Professor Femo Otubanjo, who also will be looking at this particular matter. We'll go to Femo Otubanjo. Good morning. Good to have you join us. You saw that particular report and all the talk about constitution review. A whole lot has been raised. Some, well, from the Senate President, he did say it's just not the task of the Senate alone, but even we Nigerians, we have some kind of input in the constitution. Let's start from there.
Yeah, just remember the Constitution is supposed to be the document of the people, and the National Assembly Senate is taking the lead in trying to see how it can be improved to serve the people.
National Assembly, of course, in conjunction with the Houses of Assembly, will have to approve any amendments that are brought in. We also know that before they do that, there will be public sittings, there will be call for memoranda and so on, so that the public will be effectively involved. Whether that translates into a people's constitution is another matter, but there's no easy way of getting the people involved except through their representatives, except through their memoranda, and their participation at public sittings. So we are hoping that the constitution that we have, which was given to us by the military, can be improved to enable the people to have a say and for it to be adapted to the needs of the people.
Well, some people have said that, what we need right now is not an amended constitution, but a brand new constitution altogether, and that a memoranda or a referendum vote will still not make it a people's constitution. Do you agree?
Well, I agree, because it's a good idea, but it is not practicable. It's difficult for you to begin to write a new constitution. Why do you want to do that? You have a constitution already. Why don't you improve it? The old costs and rigmarole of writing a new constitution and so on. I don't see how that will have an advantage over what is happening now. What is important now is to be effective in participating in the amendment. Those who are interested should pay serious attention to what is happening and participate effectively in ensuring that what they want is reflected in the amended constitution. I think that sometimes we like to think that this country is in crisis or is in turmoil. That kind of idea of a new constitution is what happens when a country maybe is moving from military to civil rule, when a country has come through a civil war, when a country is just getting its independence. I don't think that this is something. Nigeria is a fairly stable country. We have institutions that are working, and we should not give the impression that we need to overthrow everything in order to move on.